Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, man, and what I'm going to bring to you in this particular video, of course, I can't show gameplay, so you're going to see my ugly mug, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Madden 20, man, the beta, just give my quick light impressions on the beta, because it is a beta, which, you know, I know sometimes people say, oh, it's not the full version, you can't go into depth, but at the same time, it's not like the game is going to be completely different. You know, you may have some different builds, or you may have, you know, some updates or enhancements since the beta. But other than that, man, you can get a sense of what the game is by playing the beta. So what I'm going to do here is talk about positives, a few concerns, negatives, or what have you, and then we'll be out of here. So in no particular order, man, I just took some notations here. The first thing I want to talk about, man, is just the feel of the game. You know, the gameplay itself just feels extremely smooth. You know, now that's not to say it's perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but the feel of the game is a lot smoother than we've seen in recent years. I mean, clearly the best feeling Madden, in my opinion, so far on, you know, the new age and new era of consoles. You know, it feels way better than 17, 18, 19, 16, whatever, you know, however far you want to go back. It just has a clean feel to it. Not just the player movement, but also the animations and the interactions between players. And I'll get a little bit, you know, deeper into that. One concern I do have with the player movement as far as the locomotion, you know, the left stick analog controls is a lot looser, it's really responsive. You're gonna have to get used to it, because I found myself, you know, you have to literally, you know, move the left stick in a certain direction if you want more of a hard plant, hard cut, or what have you. I feel like it's a little bit, just a little bit of the, I don't want to say turntable running, but you know, the easy movement, if you will, has crept back into, you know, what they're doing with it. I don't necessarily feel like the plant happens as much as it should, and I don't even know if I'm explaining that correctly. At the same time, I don't think that it's a problem, but you're gonna understand what I'm talking about when you play it for yourself. You know, so maybe it's a touch too loose, but I don't think anybody will have much of a problem with it. Like I said, if you cut the right way, you move the left stick in a, you know, in the right motion or what have you, you're still going to get that plant, the cut up feel. You're going to see foot planting, but I think you guys will understand what I'm trying to say here when you get your hands on it. Overall, it feels good. You know, it really feels good. It's a lot more smooth, a lot more natural, so that's a good thing. Speaking of the interactions, the biggest thing that I noticed right away after playing it for a while, and I even pointed it out as you guys saw when I was giving my, you know, just the footage, when I was giving my opinion on the EA Play footage, the warps and motion shifting has been significantly reduced. Okay, it's not gone all the way. There's some scenarios that you're gonna still see that there's a slight shift, you know, particularly with the two-man animations. You're gonna see it sometimes, but then there's other times when you don't get any shift at all. You know, I've had situations where there were no warps whatsoever, and the player's relative positioning, you know, actually mattered. You know, there was a play I remember having against New England, I think I was playing against, and I was able to pick up the blitz. They blitzed the corner. I had two guys streaking on the right side, and I threw it to the inside guy because he had the man-to-man coverage that I wanted against the safety. Threw it to the inside, and there was no warp, there was no shift. My guy had position, and he basically was able to box out and get the reception. You know, it worked perfect. We all know in Madden 19, it doesn't always play out like that. You know, a lot of times the defender's going to get some type of warp, or the two-man animation will just be so overpowered, so overblown that you already know what's going to happen. So I was seeing way less of that. And like I said, in some scenarios, I didn't see it at all. But, you know, it's still there slightly, you know, so I feel like what's been done in Madden 20, I feel like they're laying the groundwork to be able to start reducing that. Remember what I said, man, I wanted to see Madden take the same approach that 2K did with 2K19, where they reduced significantly the amount of, you know, warping and things like that when you get your two-man animation. I think Madden is actually following down that path. You know, I haven't played FIFA 20, but I still say FIFA does a great job with that, with the one-to-one interaction. So I can honestly say now, after playing the beta, I think Madden is following down that path, but it's not all the way there. It's not all the way there. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about animations. The animations are looking good, man, for the most part, but there's still some situational animations. And what I mean by that, there's still some of those animations that play out that you've seen before and you know what's going to happen. There's still a few that it seems like you can't really interrupt them, you know, once it starts playing out. But they have improved that, you know, that engagement of other players. You're going to see a lot more gang tackling. You're going to see guys not falling off. You know, they're actually going to converge on one guy and 3 people are in on the tackle. You see it a lot with 2-man tackles. You know, it's way cleaner. It's way more realistic the way guys fall and the way guys, you know, engage in on the tackle. And you're not going to see that clunkiness that we once saw in Madden 19. Let me see. Also, speaking around that, you see a lot more, I can't even talk. You see a lot more consecutive hit tackles as well. Guys coming in and cleaning up. You know, I was seeing situations on the goal line where, you know, normally in 19, you could just bowl your way through and you get that animation. No, I was seeing more situations where when 1 or 2 or 3 more guys come in and it was causing like a collision. And, you know, it seemed as if momentum and weight was being taken into consideration. Now, I can't say that it's happening all the time, but there are scenarios that you're going to see that you feel like, oh, okay, looks like weight and momentum played a factor there. You're going to see it particularly with trucks. You'll see it with stiff arms. A lot of different situations you will feel like, you know, weight and momentum is being taken into consideration. Maybe not fully, but you'll be able to see that and you're going to think to yourself, it must be. And, you know, like Clint alluded to at EA Play, I believe, or in one of the articles or one of the streams they did before EA Play, I think he said it's more of that being factored in. I don't know to what degree, because there's still situations, like I said, man, there's some animations that you can't really disrupt once it starts. And I feel like if the game was fully, you know, full on respecting animations being augmented by physics and momentum and weight, etc., then I think all of those things would be able to be broken. There should be every single animation interaction, I feel like, should have the ability to be broken out of. That's just my opinion. So it's not there 100%, but it's drastically different from 19. Let's see what else, man. I got a lot of notes here, guys. I'm just rambling because, you know, it's hard to recall everything. So I said there are still some 2-man animations that still happen, and even with those, even when it, you know, you see them come together and go into the 2-man animation, you're gonna see it play out more, you know, a lot cleaner. Again, the warping, even when there is warping and shifting, is dramatically reduced, in my opinion, and there's situations where I'm not even seeing it. So seems like the core essence of attacking that they're doing. So if they can keep going in that path, maybe we'll get to the point where it's completely eliminated. I spoke on the situational animations, and you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. Most of you probably know what I'm saying. It's like, you know, this particular animation is going to play out. Past trajectories, very good. I mean, hey, I was the main one saying I got to see it to believe it, but you can drop the ball in there. You know, pass leading is a lot better with the different trajectories and the different ball speeds or what have you, but, you know, where you can place the ball is looking really good so far. And I want to add this, man, everything that I tested, you know, I didn't get a lot of opportunity to test everything. I had a very busy weekend, man. I even actually went out of town on Saturday, you know, took the PlayStation with me, but I didn't have as much time as I wanted to have on the beta. But from everything I tested, I did everything on all Madden. I didn't even get a chance to play a user game, you know, because when I attempted to do it, I was actually in a hotel, and you already know the Wi-Fi there wasn't going to work. So I never got an opportunity to do it. So I'm waiting to hear some, you know, some opinions from other people who play user to user. But I just jumped right into practice. Then I went into franchise, man. I put it on all Madden. I made some slight adjustments. The only adjustments I made was, you know, I turned the CPU pass accuracy down to 25, and I turned the CPU pass blocking to 25, because, you know, all Madden is going to give it a little bit of a boost. And even when I did that, unlike in 19, when I turned down the pass blocking, you still see the real interactions playing out. You're not really seeing these ridiculously looking, you know, block sheds, at least in my opinion. I didn't see anything that looked ridiculous. Remember the video I did and I talked about Aaron Donald and he got the same animation triggering? it didn't look like that in the games I played. You know, even with reducing the pass blocking, it still had it more balanced where I was able to get pressure, but it wasn't like I was just blowing by a guy, you know. And there's also text, you know, for you guys who like to keep the visual text, you know, for like tackling and pass rushing and all of that. You're going to see you're going to see text that say when you win and lose. So you can clearly see when you win, you're going to win the animation, or when you lost the animation. I turn all of that stuff off. But again, it didn't look clunky. It didn't look unrealistic. It looked more dynamic, even though it's still not quite as dynamic as where I would want it to be, because obviously in order for that to happen, you're going to have to, you know, have it to where weight, momentum, and leverage and all that is playing out at all times. However, even when I didn't win, I did feel like I had a little more control over the D lineman when I was controlling him. If I just keep pressing buttons, I could still push my way, and still work into a third, fourth, you know, even a fifth attempt and get through. You know, so I didn't feel stuck like we usually feel in Madden. I didn't feel that the patty cake, you know, type of interaction. I felt more in control. Let's see what else I got, man. Pass trajectories, you're just gonna have to feel it to understand what I'm saying there. Let's talk about the superstar and X factor abilities. Listen, man, I was one of the biggest people that had a concern about that. I wanted to know how balanced it would be. Listen, after spending some time with the beta, I love it. I love what they're attempting to do there. You know, players actually feel different. For the first time of me playing Madden in recent years, I can honestly say the players definitely feel different. You know, again, I mentioned playing against New England. Playing against Brady was a nightmare, okay? Week 1 of the season, and he got into his zone, and it really kept me immersed in the game, because I had to worry about what he was doing. You know, I had to be tighter on my defense, especially when I was using a linebacker or a safety. I had to play my position. I couldn't be roaming around, and I had to be very strategic and very disciplined in my assignment to keep him under wraps, and I still couldn't. You know, he was doing his thing, and the way that I was able to get him out the zone, luckily, you know, I laid a big hit on one of the receivers across the middle, forced the fumble, turned the ball over, and I was able to win the game 21-13. And again, that was on All Madden. And by the way, I don't know if they worked on All Madden at all, but to me, it feels a lot better. I like the challenge of All Madden. You know, I just always hated the cheats that come from All Madden. I don't know if it's because they've reduced the warps and they're not allowing things like that, you know, the crazy All Madden defense to play out. I don't know if it's because of the abilities and all of that, but the game didn't feel like it was cheating me. I won some games, I lost some games. You know, and it felt like it was my mistake for losing, or it was a team that was just overpowering me. And I was cool with that. You know, like the first 5 weeks of the season, I was 3-2. You know, I ended up beating the Ravens in the last second. I lost to, who did I lose to? I'm trying to remember the schedule. Seahawks. Seahawks smacked me in week 2. You know, I won against the Patriots. And then I ended up losing to, was it the Niners? It was one of those teams like that I lost to. But I'm telling you, the games felt very, very balanced. Then after that, you know, I did some simming or whatever. And, you know, I simmed to the draft and all of that. And let me kind of get into that really quick, man, because I got some franchise notes. Let me just make sure there wasn't anything else that I didn't cover before we go to franchise. Oh, pass rush. The pass rush is real. You've probably seen it on Twitter. Some people are complaining, but for the most part, even people who are putting in feedback, you know, after the beta, don't touch it. Don't touch it. You know, Clint and you guys, y'all mentioned it to us in the early stream, saying that you're going to have to get the ball out faster and all of that. I even saw his interview with SGO where he said pass rush is going to, you know, definitely help with the coverage and all of that. Don't touch it. Leave it the way it is. It is not overpowered. You need to make a decision. You need to get the ball out fast. I love the way it is. I don't feel like it's overpowered. Now, for you guys who played the beta, they started us out in the Pro Bowl. Now, it was ridiculous in the Pro Bowl. I mean, these dudes getting 6-7 sacks. But after you went through and started playing the game, you realize it was only because it was the Pro Bowl. You know, you're playing with these all-star guys. You're not used to the game. You're trying to play it the way you've played past Maddens. That ain't gonna work. You have to account for the elite pass rusher. You gotta, shift your line to him. You call out the mic. All of that. You're gonna have to adjust. And I love it. I need to be able to fear Khalil Mack. I need to fear Von Miller or Aaron Donald pushing the pocket. I need to really think about me standing in the middle of the pocket. I love the way that feels. Do not touch the pass rush. Do not touch it. This game is serious. I'm telling you. You simulation guys, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love the pass rush overall that you're getting in this game. What else? There are some legacy issues in coverage, man. If you listen to Clint's interview with SGO, Sports Gamers Online, go check it out. He basically alluded to the fact that they have done some tuning, but it doesn't sound like they've really worked on coverage as far as, some of the other responsibilities and things like that. Shout outs to DSK. I know DSK, sent me a nice message and was letting me know, how the game was handling, 2x2 sets and, trips and bunch and things like that. And, how guys, not everybody in the secondary was playing it the way they're supposed to. And I kind of feel like maybe they didn't address those intricate things. And the funny thing is, a lot of people won't even notice it because not everybody knows all of those type of rules. But they have improved the zones. I felt like the defense was playing pretty good. But again, I didn't have enough time. I mean, me personally, I didn't have enough time to dissect everything because I was just on the run. I had to go to Virginia this weekend and my niece's graduation party. It was so much. So I didn't spend a lot of time with the beta. So I would definitely advise you guys to listen to guys like NYKia, DSK, plenty of other people, man. I know they're going to be giving their accounts of the game. I know Smitty spent a lot of time with it. Me and him text back and forth. So, anything I'm not saying, definitely listen to some other people and take their word for, take their opinions as to what they felt about the game. Outside of myself, because like I said, I just didn't get a full lengthy amount of time to lab. Y'all know how I do. I just play the game first. I play the game and I recognize and notice things as it's happening. If I see a bad play, I go in and look at it and, oh, wait a minute, why didn't he do this? But I didn't spend a lot of time labbing. We got plenty of time to do that. I really just gave my feedback off of how the game felt initially, and the funny thing is, most of what I'm saying, everyone else is saying as well. So the different approaches to feedback obviously works. Well, don't want to be too much longer. Let me roll into some franchise stuff. Franchise for the most part, guys, when you cut it on, it's going to seem the same. As far as, it's kind of disappointing where Madden is. And that's the exact point. Where it is disappointing because we're going to have these years where we still feel like things are missing. And that's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. I hate it because I am a franchise guy to my core. Franchise and gameplay go hand in hand. And it hurts me when I play, and I'm still playing MLB The Show as we speak, and NBA 2K, and the depth of those franchise modes are just unworldly. That's where I want Madden to be. The reality is it's going to take a long time for them to get there because they have to allocate resources to all of these different areas, and then they can only focus on so much at one time, which sucks. But that's where we're at. And I feel like they needed to address a lot of the core information first, as far as like how does regression work and progression, and they said the contracts would be better, and it looks like they are. I simmed only the one season, and it looks like free agency and things like that, it looks like it's more, realistic in that regard. And I heard that franchise guy, he said the same thing, what contracts guys were asking for and signing for and rejecting. It seems to be where it should be. Again, I didn't test that fully, so just don't take my word for that. Listen to the NBL guys. I'm sure they know. I'm sure Shopmaster did a lot of testing in that area. So go listen to other people as well. I'm just giving you my quick account. But the things that I did like about franchise for the most part, there's basically a reporter assigned to your team, and throughout the year, and he's asking you questions about how you feel about this, how you feel about that. So that's kind of unique. So it creates somewhat of a storyline. You can also generate your best lineup, like you would in MUT. If you want to quickly do that, go in and just say, boom, generate the best lineup. And I'm assuming it's based off of overall. You can do that at a button press. It does tell you how many zone abilities are on your roster. So I think that's great. You can easily identify how many guys can actually get in the zone. There's a homer ability that allows a player to get in his zone faster. Ben Roethlisberger had that. Now, what I like about that element, that lets us know that there's some opportunity for home field advantage to basically kick in and be a factor. That's great. And see, it's a lot of these building points. It's a lot of things that I see that they could do going forward. And that's what's so frustrating is like, man, if they could only just get there right away. Obviously they can't, but just seeing that they have this type of ability and this type of trait that will allow that, that opportunity for a player to get, into his zone a lot faster because he's playing at home. They have one as well for an indoor player. Shout outs to Eric Rayweather. He mentioned it about Breeze, and I did see that as well, where Breeze has the ability to play better and get in his zone better or faster playing indoors. So the groundwork is there, it sounds like. They have this morale rating that pretty much, looks like it replaced confidence. And the scenario engine will ask you questions, ask the questions to coaches, and, based on what you do, it can boost their morale. And you'll see a section that will say, morale modified overall, so it can go up or go down. And I'm assuming it's based off of performance. I didn't get a chance to test it fully. What else they got? There's messages from your DC and your OC each week to allow you to prepare for the upcoming player. So if you're facing off, when I faced off against Brady, I got a message from my OC as a text message. You just read it and you answer the question. But he said, hey, how do we want to approach this guy this week? And then at the bottom, you'll have a few options. And it's pretty vanilla right now, pretty generic. But again, I think there's some groundwork there where they should be able to take that to the next level if they stick to it. Very basic right now, but you're basically just saying, hey, let's disregard him, let's slow him down, let's lock him down, whatever the case may be. And then based off of how you choose, how you answer the question, it will let you know, what you're going to get a boost on. You might get, a boost in this area because the defensive line did their job, or in this area because the quarterback did his job, or, it allows you to get more XP and things. You're rewarded things based on how you answer. So it's pretty interesting, man. I can't wait to actually test the entire thing, once I have the actual game to figure out how deep that goes. Let me pause for a second, guys. It's going to be a break in the video really quick. My bad. I got to do something really fast, but in 2 seconds, I'll be right back and I'll pick back up where I left off. All right, guys. Sorry for that delay, man, but I'm back and we'll pick up where I left off. I was talking about the OC and DC, basically sending messages to the head coach, and you got to make a decision how you want to prepare for them. But I saw it, for the superstars and those type of guys. And I would assume, of course, that's who it's for. So I can't confirm if it's only for them, but pretty much it seemed like it was those guys who are able to, get into a zone. It seemed like the X Factor type of guys that you were preparing for. Like I said, that seems like that would match what it should be. If it's you're facing the Patriots, it should be Brady. If you're facing off, against the Bears, it should be Mac and guys of that nature. So that's what it seems to be. Moving on, and I won't hold you too much longer, guys. I know I'm missing probably all kinds of stuff, man. Just it's hard to recount or recall everything else that went on while I played the beta. Oh, I did see one as well. A scenario where one of my players, Dante Moncrief, as a matter of fact, he asked for more opportunities, right? It was interesting. Juju Smith-Schuster went down. Moncrief, and I get a message from him saying, hey, man, I think I could get more opportunity. If I could, I think I could produce. I feel like I could be a #1 receiver. Try to get me the ball more if you can. Lo and behold, then here comes the scenario. If I meet this certain goal, it's going to increase his development, right? It's going to increase his development traits. So I was able to, get him the ball. And it's interesting because I had to consciously think about that while playing the game. And see, I love that. I've always said this about franchise. The reason why I like depth and immersion is because those two things go hand in hand. The deeper a franchise is, the more immersive it is. And I like things that make me think while I'm playing, whether it's off field or in game. So in this scenario, of course I want to try to meet that goal, but I couldn't just key on him. I had to pick my spots, but I was able to meet the goal. I think I had to, he had to go for 100 yards receiving, something like that. And at the end of the game, I was awarded a bump in his development trait. He went up to a star development player. So little things like that, man. The scenario engine has potential. I just don't know how deep it goes. I know a lot of people were probably wondering about contract holdouts and things like that. I didn't see that myself, but like I said, I didn't play it long enough to know. Maybe I didn't test it enough, or I didn't play through the entire season, or get to a point where a guy wanted to hold out. I had to sim a lot of it because I didn't have a lot of time. But what I don't like is I don't like the fact that it's not, in terms of contracts, it's not something that we can control yet. There's still no front loading. There's still no back loading. There's no extensions from what I saw. It's nothing like what I wanted in terms of coaching carousel, or, even like the recruiting system and the scouting system that was in NCAA. I want that to be in Madden, where you got to pitch guys for free agency, all this type of stuff. I didn't see any of that. I didn't really see a whole lot of back and forth negotiating. All of that part still seems vanilla. So it's yet to be determined how the scenario engine helps with that. Because again, we've heard them advertise in blogs and in stream that guys might hold out. I haven't seen it. So I want to know what happens in that scenario. Is it just going to be a message saying, hey, I'm thinking about holding out, and then there's some type of negotiation or some type of bidding? That'd be interesting. So I'm curious to see how it plays out via the scenario engine, since again, it's not a more of a manual process now, that I didn't see that there was anything different with contracts and how they're structured, as far as me being able to manipulate it and, bid for this and, offer this, offer that. All of that part still seemed the same. So I'm very curious to see how it works with the scenario engine if a guy attempts to hold out. So that's yet to be determined. So I'm a little disappointed about that, man, because you guys know how big I am on roster management. Another disappointment, again, I understand that everything that I wanted in franchise wasn't going to be there, but I was hoping that this year there would be something centered around wear and tear, and the health of the body and things like that. I've been asking for that for many, many, many years, and still don't have anything like that. But again, it seems like this particular year, and again, shout outs to that franchise guy, man. He said pretty much the same thing in his vid. It seems like this year they're approaching the core fundamentals of what they have currently in franchise and getting all that working before they add to it. Disappointing because we have to wait, but I also say this all the time. You guys have always heard me say, what's the use of adding something if the foundation is broken? Same thing I used to say about player movement and these animations and player likeness. What did I always say? That'd be cute to have that, but if the game, the movement and all that is still broken, what's the point? So finally, we now get player likeness and all that type of things for certain players, but along with that, now the player movement and the interactions have improved. So that was the perfect time to introduce it, and now you need to work on it going forward. So I feel the same way about franchise, man. As much as I want that depth, it's going to take them a while to do it. There's no way around that. There's no way around us thinking that they were going to do everything, if anything, in 20. And remember, we were already saying that when the blogs came out. I was already saying, don't be disappointed, or don't be surprised, rather. That's a better word. Don't be surprised if there's not anything else done in franchise. So outside of what was in the blog. So there you have it. That's been confirmed. Yeah, and unless some other things sneak in there, I doubt it. But I'm sure there's, you know, tuning and all that stuff still left to do, so we don't know what the final product is. But for the most part, it seems like those are the only features. And was there anything else? I do like the hidden dev trait, man, on the Superstar and the X Factor guys, that you don't really know what their dev trait is until you play with them for a while. I think with Devin Bush, he was one of my guys, and you know, it was basically a question mark under his dev trait. I think it kind of tipped the hand. I was easily able to identify, well, obviously he's going to be a star or an X Factor guy because I couldn't see his trait. So my feedback on that is I would prefer that to be on all the players. You know, it would be great if every player you drafted, you don't know their ability at all. You don't, I mean, not their ability, you don't know their dev trait to know if they're ever going to turn into a guy with special abilities. I think that should be on every single player. To me, it's too easy to know who the guy is going to be when if you draft him and he doesn't have a dev trait. So you know at least he's going to be a superstar. I just think it would add a little more immersion as if you drafted people, period, regardless of they're going to be normal or star or superstar or X Factor or whatever. I think it would be great that you didn't know their development ability until they play. That should be across the board, because then it's really immersive at that point, because it could be anybody, you know. Because right now, obviously, when you get a guy that doesn't have a dev trait, that's where you're gonna spend a lot of your XP. You know, well, you can't individually spend XP, but you obviously are gonna be really focused on that guy, trying to get him to play, and it's kind of still a way you can move him on up, even though you don't know which one he's gonna be. You still know he's gonna be at least a superstar. See what I'm saying? So I think it should be on every player. Force us to have to play with every player and then get the surprise later finding out, whoa, I didn't know this guy was a superstar player, because you had no tip at all, because every one of your rookies didn't have a dev trait and you had to get them in the game. And I think that would make it a little more interesting, a little more intriguing, a little more immersive, you know, and a little more rewarding, you know, if you just can't identify the guy outside of playing him. So those are my thoughts, man. I know this video was pretty long. Those are just my thoughts right now. I think this game will be good. I think there are issues with the game still that remain. But this is by far, in my opinion, the first Madden in a very long time that I could really say, yo, this ain't the same game. This is not the same game. You know, it's not. It's not the same game, in my opinion. It is not Madden 19. Will it show, you know, some Madden 19-esque stuff? Sure. It's still the same framework. But this game is a changer. No question about it. No question about it. And it's going to be very evident when you start playing. Like I said, there's still some issues. There's still some things that you're going to look at and be like, they got to address that. Absolutely. But it is not the same game. In my opinion, it just does not feel like Madden 19. Not at all. Not at all. So those are just my thoughts, man. It's a lot still yet to be determined once the final game is out, you know, and then I have a chance to play that and I can give it my thoughts then. But as of right now, if it stays the way it is and if all they're doing is tuning and tightening up, this should be a pretty good cycle for Madden 20. And hopefully it continues to stay upon this direction. Who knows what happens next year, but hopefully it stays right where it's at, because I think it'll be in a good place to build on. Finally a game that you could really say they can build on. Well, we've been disappointed with that the last 4 or 5 years. So there you have it, man. Outside of that, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. If you played the beta, please leave your detailed comments. I would love to read what some of you guys likes and dislikes. I'm sure I missed some things, so definitely go check out everybody else, man. Everybody else that you may watch on YouTube, go listen to their thoughts. Listen to the good, listen to the bad. So that way, when you're able to play it yourself, you can decide, oh, okay, he was right about that. Oh, okay, you know, I disagree about that. Oh, okay, this guy hated this. I love this, you know, so there you have it. But outside of that, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications so you're fully aware of the next video, and definitely hit that like button if you like what you saw. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching, sticking out with me all this long time, Definitely appreciate that, and I'll definitely catch you guys in the next video. Y'all be good. Peace.